So this is my build of the HMS Victory, a hull made by Turner, and that's his new 1805 version of the Victory. And I used masts from Artist Hobby, and this is the plans from Artist Hobby. So the plans for building the metal mast. I didn't scratch build this, I bought them with the kit there. Yeah, and I want to show a picture of my go-to. Poor things need enhancement when you're working on these small details. So this is the bowsprit. So I've started building, adding little metal rings, and it's brass tubing. And with the kit it's 1.4 millimeters, 1 millimeter, 0.8, 0.6 and 0.4 millimeters. And then you get all the brass photo edge, rat lines and fighting tops and so on with it. I think it looks really nice. I don't like the hulls that Artist Hobby makes, so that's why I'm using the Turner one. I'm really happy about this Turner one. It came a little bit damaged from the company that printed it for me, since I don't have a 3D printer myself. I use a printing service, and so the three lanterns at the back was broken off, so I replaced it with some of my own from a Warlord kit. Some of the details a little bit muddy as well on this, but I figured it wouldn't matter once I painted it. So, and this is with the bowsprit attached. So here we have a finished foremast. I like the kit, it's a really nice kit. I guess you could scratch build this. I tried once on another model using rat lines from Atlantic models that time, and thread and so on. But if you have the money, this is a really nice kit to use. And the photo edge is great. I really like the photo edge. So what was missing for me was the lifts, so I decided to add those. And this time around, for all the running rigging and so on, I've used this thread I got from my wife. It's really thin metal wire that I then had to dip in a little bit of quick drying glue, and then finally I'll be painting it the color I want, like a light brown or black. So here's been given a coat of primer, spray primer from Army Painter. It's their ash gray color. I really like that one. I use it for all my models basically. And this is the brass tubing. I usually lay it out, and here you have some of the photo edge detail. It is very small, so you know, a way to enhance your eyesight is a good idea when you're building something like this. I'm giving a coat to everything, the photo edge detail that I'll be using, and then the rat lines and so on. I'm always so worried at this stage to see how things turn out. Yeah, here you have my little work area. Dry fitting everything. Masts are pretty high on the hull. These are some stock images, or images I actually paid for using these, because I wanted something to go from. So this is the actual Victory ship with the details and everything. Good idea if you're going to make a model and you want to super detail it. The Victory is great for that. I mean, no other ship in that size that you really can have the real thing to look at. So for the planting I use a couple of different paints. You saw them there, I put them in the video. Starting with a pretty light tone, a light wood tone, and then inking it down like with a wash, and then yeah, these are my go-to washes. And here I have the light wood and the off-white. I also use some blue because there's some blue detailing, and then the green black, and that's actually a speed paint. Some of the speed paints I really like, especially the 2.0, that they don't bleed as much. I do like the red first version speed paint, and that bleeds quite a bit, so you need to be prepared for that, but if you want to get some nice blending effects, it's pretty nice. So here I've put in the first layer of the baby puke, the yellow. Go with a pretty light color. I'm trying to match the color that they have on the actual Victory ship nowadays. A little bit lighter color than usually in the books and so on. And I used cork brown, yellow ochre and off-white from Vallejo for that. This is the base, so it's a piece of see-through acrylic, and then I paint the underside with an ink that I bought, like a turquoise ink, and then some green speed paint, orc skin it's called. So I mix those, and then my other go-to for the grim dark there, speed paint. So what the speed paint does, it's like a contrast paint, so it already kind of shades the area a little bit, so it's a little bit lighter and a little bit darker already from the start, and then I just build on top of that. So here's the masts, thin coat of speed paint. I use Army Painter quick shades, both the strong tone and the soft tone, mostly the soft tone, to get the shades in an easy way. After all, these are game pieces, and this is the splash gel from Green Stuff World that I use on the base. I usually start a little bit before I actually attach the model, just to get a little bit an idea of how I would like to run it. And here's the blood red. That's the first version of the speed paint, so that one bleeds through quite a bit. So if you paint on top without putting a layer of varnish. And here's the sails. I didn't like them at first. I thought I'm not going to use them, but then I ended up using them anyway. Some close-ups of the bow and the stern, the detailing. And here's the signal, the famous signal from Nelson at Trafalgar. And I decided for once I'm going to just put the whole thing in there. That's a lot of little signal flags to do. And here's the base. Now I've put some of this layer water texture, Mediterranean blue. It dries transparent, so it's not looking like that at the end, but it adds a little bit of variation. And an enchanted steel for all the metal, like the guns or the iron, the stovepipe and so on. And here is what I use: green black, matte black, and then off-white for highlighting the black areas. The masts highlighted. I do this pretty roughly, but I think the result is pretty nice. So at this point I realized I actually broke off some of the railing and it was gone. I don't know where it ended up, but luckily in that photo edge set I did have some photo edge railing that I could replace it with. So you see here I've done that, and I added some more boarding, netting and railing and so on, some fine details from the photo edge set. I mean, the model from Turner is already really detailed, you don't need this stuff, but I always push things. And here you have those furled sails. First I was like, oh no, that looks crap, but then they could, at a little bit of distance, they look kind of nice. And this is what I use to kind of shade the sails. A bunch of different paints. You could probably stop the video if you want to know what I used there. And here we have the model attached to the base, and then some more of that splash gel effect. Looks kind of bad when it's not dried, but then as it dries transparent, looks really good, I think. So some of the finer detailing getting done here. There's still a couple of layers of highlighting and so on that I need to do on it, but I decided now is the point that I will attach the masts permanently. And I also put on the sail there, one of the sails, just to see how it looked. So time to start rigging. I use the thread that you get with the Warlord models, but I do double width for the main stays there. So it really shows. This is the thread I used to use for the running rigging, and this is the one I've ended up using on this model. It's very much thinner, but looks kind of nice after I painted it with a light brown color. And here the stays have been a little bit attached. Also, I added the lifts there, or the hoist thingies that you will have the boats hanging from. Also at this point I've added all the sails, so now I have an idea how it's gonna look with all the sails on there. I tend to not do too much with the sails. I shade them a little bit at the bottom, kind of like the ones that you get ready from Warlord games. I like that effect, a little bit greenish hue there, not too much, just a tiny bit. Some close detail. It's getting done. All the standing rigging, or almost all the standing rigging is in place. Quite pleased with how that turned out. Well, usually referencing a bunch of different historical paintings for stuff like this, and then ending up not completely following it. So, I mean, historically accurate it might not be, but I go for something that looks good and kind of accurate. Yeah, and then I've added a little sails there in the front as well, on the bowsprit. Some of the running rigging, or the lines for the flags and so on, Singlin's flags getting attached. And then also the rat lines. These came with the set there, and I think these are by far the nicest ones. But also the ones from Atlantic models are great. I didn't use them at this time, but mostly I used the Atlantic model ones, because just buying a whole kit with these photo etch details would be insane. Getting that every time I want to make a ship. But for my favorites, of course. And here I've ended up adding most of the running rigging as well. Really thin wire. I think it looks much better than the thicker one I used before, so this probably will be my new way of doing it. Needs a little bit of treatment since it's so thin, so I usually run it through some super glue. Also, I do paint, even if I use the Finnish flag from the ready-made flags from Warlord games. I tend to paint them a bit, like the red and so on. I fill it in because I find it looks a little bit better. So I've added the flags, and here is the signal flags starting to get added. And then the base, the last final touch, is the sea foam. So it's a sea foam texture, also from Green Stuff World. I really like that one. Kind of gives the model this dynamic base, looking like it's moving, not standing still. So here we have the almost finished model. I forgot some lines and so on, so I wouldn't call it finished, but almost. So pretty pleased with it. It's gonna be my flagship in my British fleet now. I do have some other first rates. I have the Royal Sovereign, the Warlord Games model, and then I have the HMS Caledonia, a 120 gun beast as well, also a Turner model. So 3 first rates in my fleet. And then I ended up selling a bunch of my third rates, so now I need to make some new third rates to make up. Can't have this many first rates without third rates. But I really enjoyed, I mean, being able to sell a few models now and then I'm really grateful for the people buying, because that enables me to buy other ships and paint more ships, and that's half the hobby, right? It's a lot of fun. Then playing them is the other part. It's been really fulfilling this year and couple of months that I've been doing it. And yeah, added a little Victory there at the back and a figurehead. So here we have the finished model. Yeah, turned out really good, I think. And if you have any questions about things that I've made on the model, just let me know in the comments below, or on the forum where I post it, or on Facebook. I try to help you out. There's some of the, I'm gonna fix that, the standing rigging doesn't look right, but otherwise it's done. A little bit of varnish on the sides and so on, satin varnish I use. Forgot to mention that earlier. And that's it. See you in the next video. It'll probably be a battle report at this point. And if you have any pointers, like I said earlier, just let me know.